So I have been having conversations with my future self. I'm talking 10 years out, right? And the funniest thing about it is that I remember back in high school when we were asked, like, where do you see yourself 5 years from now, 10 years from now? High school was a totally different story. High school was anxiety and depression and survival and all that bullshit. Um, but it's just really cool to look at this now and like I'm actually having like conscious conversations with myself 10 years out, right? And it's making me see that like I can plan consciously now. You know, the anxiety, the depression, the survival, it's not there anymore. This is just me, right? It's not the filter of high school of all of the bullshit that I was worried about back then. It's just me now. And it's like nothing but like me, right? Back then it wasn't me. Back then it was a bunch of different filters. It was, you know, things that I really didn't like. It was like, oh, what college you going to? What do you want to do with your life? I don't fucking know. And I don't think that anyone back then, I mean, maybe, you know, like a small portion of people, maybe they knew and maybe they did. I don't know. I really don't know. But back then, I didn't know. And that's okay. I don't think that you're really supposed to know in high school. So now it's like, I'm actually like, you know, I'm talking to myself 10 years out, right? And the most fascinating thing to me is what I know now that I didn't know 10 years ago. I can kind of like place that into the narrative and make better sense of my life moving forward. Like 10 years ago, I wasn't meditating on a daily basis. 10 years ago, I wasn't journaling. I wasn't doing yoga. I wasn't taking cold showers. So I have all of these data points that allow me to see my capacity for growth, right? And with that, there's a lot of just, you know, there's everything. It's very transformative and it's very exciting to see how everything can evolve, right? Um, but you know, it's like, oh, hello, 43-year-old me. What's up? Oh, these things have happened. Zero distractions, right? And you know, I've looked at kind of like getting away from distractions, and it's challenging because, like, you know, like you wake up on a daily basis and like everything is like, look at me, 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 look. It's like, ah, no, get the fuck out of my face. Everything wants your attention in this day and age. It does. Everything wants your attention. Everything that can have your attention wants your attention. And in my own experience, it's like, do for yourself first. Put yourself first, right? So the reason why this, like, looking at myself 10 years out is not scary to me is because it's really just a matter of planning based on knowing myself, based on what it is that I want and need, right? It's nothing to fear, really. It's just like, okay, well, you know who you are now. You know what you want. You know what you need. You know what it is that you're trying to create. So just actualize, get real with it, right? And you know, it's also kind of it's very fascinating to look at it and just like understand that like you can do a lot with your life. You really can. That's what I've been seeing. I've been seeing a lot of that. And I'm just really happy that there's not the intimidation of the high school questions of, oh, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? How about 10 years? No. I see myself running as far the fuck away from that question and the person who is asking it as possible. Intimidating bullshit. Um, but no, this space of awareness that I'm in now, it's like I see things much more clearly. I know who I am and everything. And the conversation with my 10-year older self is, where do we go from here? What happens, right? Oh, well, what happens is you get serious about eliminating distractions, right? And it can be challenging. You know, the compulsions are open up social media on the phone, right? These are real compulsions, right? There are things that I'm used to. Going back to the quote, right? What you're used to will use you. Going back to what I'm used to. I'm used to the compulsiveness of taking out my phone and just mindlessly scrolling because it's familiar, it's comfortable, it's what I'm used to, right? I try to imagine a life without that. And instead, if I'm going to do that, it's going to be because I consciously intend to, right? The amount of time and energy that I have used on things that didn't have an ROI, return on investment, just weren't really worth it. Like, these are the things that I look at, and it's like, okay, well, if I can get real about it, if I can get serious with it, and actually do the things that are important, my life will change. And that's what I noticed too. Like when I look back 10 years, right? 10 years ago, what has changed? Oh, I've started journaling, meditating, exercising, taking cold showers and everything, changing my neurochemistry, right? I was very used to feelings of anxiety and depression. I have gotten myself unfamiliar with that. And now, even quite the opposite. I've gotten myself familiar with more elevated emotions, right? Um, and here's another thing that I'm seeing that I think is really important to mention. Life will happen randomly if people allow it. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. Randomness is not what I'm looking for. Randomness I've experienced before. I'm looking for order, conscious intent, and just everything along that line. So yeah, that's really what it's about. I'm excited to see how this conversation with the 10 years out Chris continues to unfold. It's gonna be very very fascinating. I think that there's gonna be a lot of wisdom and insight. A lot of wisdom and insight. I'm very excited to see how that kind of like, I don't know, makes its way into my conscious and subconscious and how it influences me because there's going to be a lot of influence there. Yeah, I'm excited.